Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where last episode we brought this rescue craft in, and now we need to get some things set up. So Jessely is going to EVA here, and we're just going to position ourselves right about here. The idea here, and we'll see if it works, the idea here is to just grab this guy here and attach it about there. Yeah, that worked perfectly. That was exactly what I wanted to see. Then we're going to grab this guy, and we need to get it a bit more rotated. There we go. That's all we needed, right there. Beautiful. So now we're just going to hop right back inside. Had to put the tool away that we didn't bring. Gotta love mixing the construction modes. And now we're going to control from here, and we're going to set as target, and we're going to do target plus. We started tumbling in a very awkward way, but this is fine. Okay, we're now basically pointing at the target. Now you can see it has a little bit of drift to it. That isn't shocking. So let's just go ahead and point at this target. So we will control from here and make sure that this is set as our target. There we go. And I'm going to turn our monoprop on. And I'm going to bring us in to, that's away from the target. I'm going to bring us in toward the target very, very gently here. Now, this is very, very sensitive. All we need to do is dock these together. I wish that we had some struts on hand, but alas, we do not. But this should do the trick, in theory. Okay, so we're now docked, and this is going to be a little bit awkward of a joint. Let's find out how awkward. Let's switch ourselves over to Orbital Prograde. Okay. That's noted. We can see 640 meters per second in this right now, plus what's in our monoprop. So that seems reasonably good for the moment. I want to check in on our life support. Life support looks good. I don't see a problem here. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to hop on out to the apoapsis. And once here, we're going to drop down a fair amount of burn here. We're going to bring this down to somewhere around... well, 30 kilometers is going to be the goal. There we go. So that's going to be a chunk of this fuel, but by no means is that going to be all of it. So that looks great. And now let's go ahead and lock to that node. And let's hope that this joint isn't all that wiggly. Now, I do want to add in a stage here. I don't know if this stage is actually going to stage, though. And let's see. I want to be like this. Okay, we're probably just going to have to jettison this. And that's fine. So for now, this engine is active, so that looks good. Let's go ahead and warp. So off we go to the apoapsis, and we can definitely see our life support taking a bit of a hit, but this is fine. And now this is going to be a 55-second burn. So overall, this is, in my opinion, at least from my perspective as the person who would have to do this, a lot less time-consuming than getting out and pushing 50 times. Okay, so we're 30 seconds, 20, 10, and 3, 2, 1, 0 mark. And the question is, do we have significant bending in this joint? Not currently. This is going up. We are not controlling from the correct point. Well, that's my fault. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. That's definitely a little awkward. That was 100% my own fault. We were still trying to control from one of these two docking ports, and we were inverted. We were burning in the wrong direction. That's fine. So let's get in position here, and let's bring this back down. Now I'm going to turn RCS on, and I'm going to also use some monoprop here. How much monoprop do we have? Actually quite a lot. So that looks okay. Yeah, let's just burn through this with some additional monoprop as well. I'm watching our periapsis height up here, and once that gets down far enough, then we will cut throttle. We're looking for about 30 kilometers. And this joint would be problematic if we were doing gimbaling, but we're not. So this is looking good. We would definitely want struts in that joint if we were trying to have any stresses there. Okay, so we're down to about 500,000 meters at this point. 400, 300, 200,000 meters, 100,000 meters. I'm cutting our engines for right now, and I'm going on just monoprop for the moment. Okay, we're going to bring this down to about 30 kilometers. Ooh, no, don't do this. Kill rot. Bring us to retrograde. Okay, it's going to be a little awkward. No more monoprop, please. There we go. Just hold here at retrograde. There, that'll do. So that's absolutely fine, and at this point, we can warp on forward, although we're going to want a radial retrograde burn here. We've got a fair amount of additional fuel, so I'm thinking somewhere around here, reasonably high up, we're going to want to do a burn kind of like this. Now, that's already more fuel than what we have. So we're going to have to back off a little bit on this, and the periapsis on that is 56, so we're going to need to bring this around a little bit like this. And then go this way a little bit. So that's going to bleed off some of that speed, and that should be useful. So we're going to have a little extra with our monoprop, and that's understood, but I want to burn off something very similar to... Okay, so everything is looking decent here. Let's get flipped around, and let's fall on into that point. So we're going to have some extra fuel. This is not the most efficient time to do this. I just want to drop our speed a little bit before we enter the atmosphere. It's not, strictly speaking, necessary. This should be fine without it. So we've got about 55 seconds here. 40 seconds, 30, 20, 10, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. So the engine is lit. I'm also monopropping here, so we'll have some leftover fuel for a re-entry burn. We're going to be jettisoning this component fairly soon after entering the atmosphere, so that seems fine. We want to burn out all of the monoprop that we can right now. Oh, that's that screen message. Right, okay, sure. So we want to burn out all the monoprop that we can at this moment, and also all of the fuel that we can in bringing this overall down. So you can see here our periapsis is rising at this moment. That's okay. We're going to want to wait until we are lower in to burn off the rest of this, and we can stow these panels, but these we cannot. So they're going to burn up. This whole component is going to burn up, in theory. Okay, so we've got about 1 minute left on this burn. This isn't huge thrust to weight, obviously. And I'm looking at our amount of monoprop left. We've got about 25% monoprop. So this is looking reasonable. But yeah, we'll be jettisoning this entire component fairly soon. I don't think I'm going to trust the staging system here. Yeah, I think I probably shouldn't. So for now, this is reasonably fine. We can see we've got about 120 meters per second left to burn in this braking burn here as we make our way in. It's a little bit of a lengthy burn, no doubt about that, but that's mostly because of the monoprop. And the fact that I do not want to physics warp with this delicate joint here. There's that too. So we're nearly out of monoprop, and we can see that we are about 30 meters per second left on this braking burn, so that's looking okay. I'm going to stop the monoprop, and we're just going to gently burn the last little bit here. Okay, stop with the RCS, please. Go to retrograde. We're going to call this good. Okay, so that seems relatively fine for now. So we've got a little bit of monoprop left. We've got a little bit of liquid fuel. We can do a re-entry burn with that, and that is the idea. 32-kilometer periapsis should be more than enough to deorbit this thing. We're not even moving all that fast, so this looks reasonably good. We're going to be coming in on a land landing, almost certainly. That's not really ideal, but we don't have much of a choice. So we're probably going to have to jettison our heat shield And some of these components down here may end up being lost. We will see. For now, let's warp in. And as soon as we hit the atmosphere, we're going to start burning. So I want to be at surface velocity minus for right now. And I want to turn on our RCS. And I want to be burning off any remaining monoprop. Okay, there's the monoprop gone. And the fuel is going to be gone now. I do not trust the staging for this, so I'm going to just decouple that guy. Well, that's awkward. There we go. So, unfortunately, this decoupler must have been facing the wrong direction, so it's going to burn off. That's understood, and then the heat shield will take over from there. So that seems fine for right now. Losing this decoupler is not a big deal. And that guy's burning up. No shockers there. So this is kind of an ablative heat shield at this point, right? That's going to burn off. That seems good. There it goes. And the heat shield itself is taking ablation, although visually the decoupler is kind of still here, or the shell for the decoupler is still here. The heat shield is taking the heat at this moment. So that's good. We are slowing down substantially. What is overheating here? Is this a container module? I don't care if the container module goes, but I don't think it will. This overheat is not building up very fast, and we're slowing down quite a lot. So I think we should be fine here, but a land landing is definitely not ideal for this capsule. This capsule is quite tall, so that's definitely understood. That wasn't ideal. We just lost a center component there. That was very bad, actually. That shouldn't have happened. Huh. So the Kerbals that were down there are just, they'll walk it off. They're going to come back to Kerbin, so we don't need to, like, rescue them or anything. But that was definitely not ideal. I did not expect to see a part way up here blow up like that. So the question is, are any of those Kerbals alive in any of these bits? That was very not ideal. I don't think they are. They wouldn't have had any life support anyway. So, yeah, I wouldn't have expected that to happen. But this capsule was never actually intended to come back, so it's fine. This was always a contingency. They'll walk it off. They'll be okay. So at this point, we can get the drogues out, which we should do. There we go. And now I want to see over here. Okay, Dunvan and Tennant are actually still in here. Unfortunately, they can't EVA because there's no hatch. So the part that blew up was in between here and here, which is, of course, very odd. We can't EVA them, so we'll just have to see if they bounce. They almost certainly won't. Dunvan and Tennant are likely not going to survive this, and that's fine. There's no way to control this at this point. Our other vehicle is fine. It's going to be absolutely okay. But, I mean, we could jettison... we can't even jettison the heat shield at this point. So, this is saying that there's a crew hatch here, but there isn't. We can't transfer the crew anywhere. Oh, wait. Hang on. So, we have a parachute here. How do we use it? Shouldn't it be in here? Hang on. Transfer crew, EVA. Okay. So, I mean, we EVA'd them. They do have a parachute in their inventory, but the button isn't here. So that's awkward. They also have no life support, so there's that. There's crashing occurring right now. That's understood. Okay. So, I mean, they're definitely slowed down. they should be able to use their personal parachute. So, I mean, they would be fine if this button was here. I don't know why it's not. Maybe it's because their life support is gone. We might be running into some issues there. Because, yeah, that's definitely a thing that they should be able to do. So they would be fine, actually. They were able to bail out and parachute down to the surface, but we hit a small bug here. They have parachutes. They just can't be bothered to use them because the button isn't there. That's not our problem. So, I mean, actually, he's just fine. Okay. We're still on our way down here. We don't seem to be able to hop back over to the other Kerbal. So that's exciting. No doubt about that. We can try to use RCS here. We need to try to slow down a bit. Well, actually, we're not splayed correctly, right? But we can try to slow down here with our monoprop, and we can see if this Kerbal will survive too. Now, they both should survive. They both have parachutes, so that's fine. I don't know why the parachute button isn't there, but it isn't. We'll try to slow down as much as we can with some monoprop, but okay, we're actually fine here too. So Dunvan is okay. Yeah, they're both just fine. Okay, I guess we'll grab a surface sample as long as we're here. So what else do we have? We've got these guys on their way in. I can't believe they survived that. That's insane. Absolutely bonkers. But again, they should have been completely fine because of the parachute. So I don't know why we didn't have the option to have the parachute there. I guess we could see if one of these guys has the option. So Jessely, go ahead and hop out here. And let go. Yeah, no option for the parachute here either. But Jessely should be fine. She's going slower than the others were, but she died. Huh. Well, that was mostly just a test to see if the parachute was there. She'll walk it off. She'll be fine. So that's okay. I think... So I don't have an explanation for why we can't activate the parachutes. Like the personal chutes. That's unusual. I don't have an explanation for that one. But all of those Kerbals should have been fine because they all had a personal parachute. They should have been able to just shoot down to the surface. I'm not entirely certain why they couldn't. That must be something with one of the mods that we have on. In vanilla gameplay behavior, they would have been fine there. They all had a parachute. They could have just used it. So that's okay. I believe that the reason why the other two Kerbals didn't explode, and this is weird, I believe that the reason the other two Kerbals didn't explode is because they ran out of life support. But they're here on Kerbal, which means that they could just lower their visors, right? But here's Dunvan. We can just recover Dunvan. And here's Tenant. We can just recover Tenant. Okay, so that's great. As far as Jessely goes, Jessely will be back. It's fine. So let's get rid of this debris as long as we're here. This needs to be recovered. And then this would be terminated. Okay, beautiful. So that looks fine. That was very awkward. No doubt about that. So I'm not sure what's going on with that personal parachute issue, why we couldn't activate one. I'm guessing it has something to do with that system was reworked in one of the mods, and I don't quite understand that. But in that situation, I'm perfectly comfortable saying that these Kerbals are going to be fine. And actually, yeah. So Jessely is considered missing in action. She'll be back soon enough. She is an engineer, so that doesn't actually matter. We could get Billy Bobcott in here, and that looks good. So Billy Bobcott will replace Jessely for the next mission. I don't mind that. That was interesting. A couple of very strange things happened there. I did not expect that centerpiece to give out like that. Especially with us just holding attitude. We didn't have any attitude loss or anything, and I didn't notice any heat gauges on that either. However, All of the Kerbals, as far as I'm concerned, that was completely survivable. The fact that Jessely in specific didn't survive that one is completely due to the fact that the open parachute button wasn't there, and I bailed her out just as a test. So that's okay. I'm not sure why that button isn't there, but knowing that it isn't there going forward, it's fine. I rarely use that anyway, so it's absolutely okay. Let's check mission control here real quick. What do we got? Not a whole lot, actually. So this seems reasonably fine. Let's hop into the VAB, and we want to get our Mooner lander in here. Because we came back to get a drill. Other things went wrong, but we came back to get a drill. So that's absolutely fine. We'll hop into, let's see here. Can we just search for tool? Yes. So there's a utility wrench. Right, we want to store these specifically in the KES locations, right. We don't want to store them in, I remember reading that we don't want to store them in vanilla storage locations. So that then means that we want to go into here. And we want to bring in a storage location, or actually it might be these containers here. Yeah, so this is a KIS storage container here. This is, I don't know that this is a KIS. This is here. I'm pretty sure. So if we were to put on, say, a couple of these, like this, and we're going to make some changes to the overall weight of this thing. But if we were to do this, yeah, so we have this inventory system. This is the inventory system that we want to put these tools in. So I'm going to put a mallet in here. So we have to hold G and move it, I think. Nope, I'm wrong. Okay, never mind. Okay, so we can bring a mallet. This is going to be used to drive in survey stakes. That's fine. And what else do we want to put in here? Well, we know that we need potentially an electric screwdriver and a utility wrench. So we'll have those in there. And how many parts can we put into these? 3, 4, 5, 6. A lot is the answer. Okay. So we can have a lot in them. Now, these storage lockers here, we don't necessarily need to have all of these components, right? So for now, what I'm thinking about doing is ditching some of this. Some of it. And we could bring some explosives as well. Is this going in all 4 of these? So that's that one. No, okay. So this is not mirroring the contents of the storage locker. If we took this off and put it back on, would that mirror the contents of the storage locker? No. Okay, so that's good to know. We can have a fair amount of these be empty. That's okay. Or we could just bring one of them. And I feel like, honestly, that's all we need is just bring one of them. So we can have this guy go right here, and inside of this, we can stack in some, does that not go further? These are being placed outside, not in here. Noted. That's awkward. That's very awkward. Okay, let's close that, reopen it, and see if that changes things. No. No, it does not. So, currently, we don't have things going into this locker anymore. I'm not entirely sure why, but we should have all of the equipment we need here. I would like to have more screwdrivers, at least. Like, actually, more utility wrenches. So, yeah, that's still floating out here, right here. So that's certainly not ideal. I'm going to try holding G and just dropping it in here. Okay, that's working. But if we click and then move it and then click again, it's still working with G held. Now it's not. Okay, so, yep, that's understood. So you have to click and drag You can't click, grab, click again to drop it in here. That doesn't work. Okay, that's a little odd, but sure. So click, drag, drop. That works. So it's definitely strange that you have to do it that way. Oh. These utility wrenches, apparently there are a lot of them in this one location. That's awkward. Well, they can be floating here. They'll go away the moment we actually close this. So then the question is, what parts do we want to drop from this? Because we definitely can. But that, I think, is a question for next episode. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.